So it looks like we're getting a new wave of retro Batman 1966 stuff, guys, and it's really exciting, but is all of it worth your money, or is some of it not all that great? Let's find out, guys. Be sure you stick around until the end, soulmates, because we're going to talk about what retro Batman stuff we would love to see next. If you support what I do, please click subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video of mine when it comes out. Well, let's kick things off with the accessories rather than the action figures, soulmates, and let's look at the Batboat first, because I think that this is a very cool product, and it is pretty much exactly like the Batboat that we all know from the 1960s Batman show. I looked at some stills to see if all the details matched up, and it looks like pretty much everything is in place. The only thing that's maybe not exactly like the show is the instrument panel inside the Batboat, because the colors are all different in there, but really, are we gonna be looking inside the Batboat all that much? Probably not, so it's really not that important. And at a price point of $35 for a sculpt like this, which is really nice, they got all the big picture details down here, I think that this is a pretty good deal. The second thing that we're going to look at from this new wave of retro Batman stuff, guys, is Wayne Manor. I'm really taken aback by how accurate some of the details are, and it's interesting where they've omitted details and where they've added details, because like the wallpaper, for instance, it looks pretty much how it does on the show. That's kind of impressive. All in all, I'd say that the details here are close enough to get the job done, because if you look at the set from Wayne Manor on the Batman TV show, you know, it's pretty intricate, and just getting any of it at all like they did here is still really impressive, even if a few details here and there have been glossed over to make the playset more affordable. I think this one is worth checking out, guys. It seems like it's really cool, and if you already have the Batcave and the Villain's Hideout, this is kinda obvious. You probably want this one too. Well, now that we've looked at the accessories, guys, let's go ahead and look at the action figures. The first one that we're going to look at today from the action figures is Radioactive Batman. And this one's pretty exciting because we're finally seeing real accessories included with these action figures. And the accessories that we're seeing with Batman here are a Batarang and a bat radio, or a bat communicator. I'm not sure which it's called, I don't remember. Well, thankfully Batman here comes with a couple of really cool accessories, and this version of Batman is okay, I would say. I don't know that I'm the biggest fan of this one. It's not so much that I mind that they made a radioactive Batman. I think that the way they did it looks fine, it makes sense. Obviously, you would just take Adam West Batman's body and then put a new head on him and call it a day, because what else are you gonna do? On the show, I noticed that the cape on Adam West covers a great deal of the fuchsia cowl that he wears. And initially I didn't think that this action figure had that, but I looked a little closer at some of the images and it does have that. It's just that the cape is hiding the bottom part of his cowl, so you don't see that the cape is in fact on top of it. What's happening here is that they're pinching the cape in between a bottom piece for the cowl and a top piece, so it doesn't flap around everywhere like it would if it was just laid on top of the cowl entirely. I think the way this action figure is made is fine. My biggest issue with this one is that I don't really think the face sculpt looks like Adam West, which really surprises me, because the first Batman action figure I thought looked a lot like Adam West, and I don't know what happened here. I would have thought that they would just take that version of the head sculpt and repaint it a fuchsia color. So I don't know if this one is really one that I would recommend picking up. I don't like it that well because of it, but also, you know, he's got some cool accessories, so it might be worth it to you just to get those. Although, you know, $20, which is the new price tag for these retro Batman action figures, is a little bit steep for getting some accessories. The second action figure we're going to look at from this wave, guys, is King Tut. And this is a really nice action figure, I think. I absolutely love what they did with this one. He comes with 2 accessories, a hooked cane and a red crop, but also he has a cloth cape that covers his person entirely, and it looks really nice. I think that they did a fantastic job with that. It looks like something you might see on the show. That's how nice it looks. But besides that, the sculpt on this one is impeccable. His tunic looks very lived in, and it looks just like the actor. There's all kinds of nice details on his headdress and everything else that's accessorizing his costume. I absolutely love this, and he's not really a villain that I was thinking about seeing, even though I really should have, because, you know, he's a villain that recurred a fair amount on the TV show. Well, I'm so glad that they did him, and it's wonderful that they absolutely did him justice. I hope that when we finally get this one out of the box, that his legs will be at least somewhat posable, because with his costume the way it is, I'm not sure how able we're going to be to get his legs moving, because it might be stiff plastic, and if it's stiff plastic, then he might be pretty stationary. I don't know yet. We're gonna have to find out. For what it's worth, McFarlane has been pretty good about giving us pliable plastic when they make costume elements like this. Totally worth picking up, Soulmates. It's a really awesome action figure, and I would love to have this in my retro Batman collection easily. The third and last action figure we're going to look at from this retro Batman wave, Soulmates, is TwoFace, and this might be surprising to some people out there because TwoFace was never on the 1960s Batman TV show. And naturally you might ask, well, what is he doing here if he was never on the TV show? And the answer is, well, there was a comic book based on the 1960s TV show where Two-Face was the main villain. There was also an animated movie a few years ago, back in 2017, where Adam West made his final appearance as Batman and William Shatner voiced Two-Face. So yes, Two-Face is most definitely part of the 1960s Batman canon at this point, and it's very nice to see his action figure here because it does not disappoint. It is really, really cool looking. The head sculpt on this one looks like somewhere between a cross of the comic book version of Two-Face and if William Shatner had played the part back in the 60s. Naturally, because there's no actor really to base a reference on, they had to take some liberties here and there to make this one, but I think that he fits in with the vibe of the line very well. The scarred part of his face looks really cool and it's very colorful, just like the TV show would have been. And then he's got his costume where half of it is just a tuxedo, the other half has an orange shirt and this really ornate design on the purple part where you can see little lines swirling everywhere if you zoom up close, and it's really, really nice. It almost looks like something we would have seen in Batman Forever. That's what it really reminds me of, although it isn't quite the same, but still. I really love this interpretation of Two-Face, and this is yet another one that I would love to add to my collection. It's so well done that it kind of blows my mind they were able to pull this off with the vibe of the line and just stick in a comic book character type villain with the rest of the villains who are based on actual actors. Obviously this one bears a slight resemblance to William Shatner, but it's not so obvious that you would really think about it unless you studied the action figure for a really long time and thought about it. Two-Face only comes with one accessory. He comes with his coin, and honestly, that's a pretty appropriate accessory, I would say, so no complaints here. I totally think that this one is worth checking out, guys, and if you have a retro Batman collection built up, you need this one in your collection along with King Tut, definitely. Well, Soulmates, now that we've seen all these retro 66 Batman characters, what do we want to see next from this line? Well, personally, I would like to see a couple of new villains, of course, because we still have many new villains that need to be explored, and I think that the Mad Hatter is a very good one to go with. but also there are some spin-off villains that would be fun to explore too, especially since they just did TwoFace. Well, Soulmates, what do you think of these new retro Batman 1966 action figures? Are these ones that you have to have for your collection? Do you have other retro 66 Batman figures? Or are you not feeling some of these, but you're feeling some? Or are these just not really up your alley for whatever reason? I don't know, guys. Be sure you let me know what you think of these releases, and also be sure to let me know what Batman retro characters you want to see next. If you'd like to learn more about the new DC Direct Aquaman page punchers, you can watch that video here, Soulmates.